Hello, and welcome to Movie Theater Explorer. This is Brent, your Movie Theater Explorer here. And today, I'm going to share more of the movies that I've seen in theaters recently, including those that I've seen in my home theater. So, um, thank you again for tuning in. Whether you listen to parts of the reviews or the whole episode, or even just segments of certain reviews, or just checking it out, or whatever the case may be, I appreciate your time and I appreciate your um, and all that. So, anyway, and if you like what you're listening to, please subscribe and please continue to check out more of this stuff. Um, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with the movies that I've seen in theaters recently. So, um, I know one of the movies that's been back out in theaters or back has arrived on like Amazon Prime, I believe, was Masters of the Universe, and I only saw it once in theaters. I saw it in Cinemark XD when it came out. I wanted to see at least one more time in theaters, and even though I was playing on Amazon Prime, I found that one of my nearest theaters was still playing it, and I thought, you know what, seems like a good opportunity to go see it again. So that's what I did. It was at my local Cinemark, and it was basically um, it was a smaller theater. Um, the picture quality was good in the theater. I still think it showed a good amount of those colors that it could. Not as vibrant as seen in Cinemark XD, but I think still very good. Um, so yeah, that was really cool. And then also I did in the sound wise, it was good. I did feel like maybe a speaker or two were not working as well. But it was more of the surrounds. So the front ones sounded just fine. It still had a decent amount of power. So it was still a good presentation, seen in theaters and a small auditorium. And it was still a very fun movie. This is one of those, like, I had a fun time watching it and rewatching. I'm like, yeah, it's not perfect, but it was just a really fun time. And one of those that I'm glad I got to see in theaters. And I'm glad I actually got to see a second time in theaters. So, um, very grateful for that. And yeah, I don't know if it's still playing in theaters. I think it's supposed to be getting out of theaters, or it should be hitting like physical media, I think in a couple months. Um, Maybe in September. I can't remember. I think it was October. But again, don't quote me on that. We'll have to look at that later. But um, but it was still fun to go see again in theaters. Still like still like plenty of fun moments um and yeah. And so again, it's one of those things I kind of miss these days. I feel like a lot of the movies I see in theaters, I'm usually seeing a few times during the first week because a lot of the time that's usually the only time it ever plays. Like I think it plays for a few weeks more maybe, but not a month and a half out. And yeah, this one came out early June, and it was near the end of July that I got to see this again. So yeah, that shows that some movies can play longer than just a month or 3 weeks. So um, and obviously there'll be certain ones this summer that I think will last more than 2 months. So which is always good. I'm always grateful for those ones that can, because it's always fun to go back and I mean see it once, but then go back and see it another time later on. So anyway, still a fun time in the theaters. Um, Still recommended. It's still, if you like watching fun movies that kind of are reminiscent of like 80s fantasy movies with basically being a Saturday morning cartoon. So, okay, the next one I'm going to talk about is Spider Man Brand New Day. I did share my experiences of seeing it in Cinemark XD, so I'm going to keep those just a little bit brief. I did see it a second time since I recorded it. I'll get to that in a little bit, but yeah, so I saw it in Cinemark XD on opening night, and I shared my thoughts, and I'm going to include a link on on when I saw it, so you guys can follow that and check out the check out my thoughts there. But still great to it's definitely a really fun theater going experience, and definitely one I do recommend trying to check out. Um, Especially if you're an MCU fan or Spider-Man fan, highly definitely recommended. Um, and this was definitely one of those. Like it felt more like a street level Spider-Man movie. Still felt like something more, felt like a more classic Spider-Man movie than we've gotten in a while. So, and again, I feel like the build up, I think, was worth it because again, obviously the first one was more about like Spider-Man Homecoming was more about like him becoming Spider-Man, but more idolizing an Avenger, trying to become like him, and then slowly learning how to become his own hero. And and obviously you see a lot of that, how he starts to figure out his own who he becomes and all that. Anyway, that's just going back to then. This is not going to the new movie, but the new movie was really good. Cinemark XD, great experience. The picture quality was great with the colors and details looking excellent, and the sound was immersive, including speakers from above going into play and everything. So yeah, um, I'm gonna tag my thoughts in the link or in the description, so check that out. Um, but I also want to talk about my experience of seeing it in ScreenX. Um, so I went the previous yesterday last night to go see it in ScreenX. For those, I have talked about seeing the Mandalorian Grogu in ScreenX, so this isn't my first time seeing a movie in ScreenX. I've seen a few before, and so basically, um, what made this so ScreenX, basically you've got this screen in front of you, but there's two additional projections on the side that basically makes it feel more immersive. Feels like the world opening around you, so more of a 270-degree surrounding experience. So, and what's cool about this, so it definitely kind of feel more part of the picture. A lot of the other ones, it always looked cool. I have to be honest. I think this one felt like it still had that cool factor, but it felt more because they were shooting some of the sequences using the ScreenX technology to help utilize that experience, and it felt a little more organic in certain moments, and that's what kind of made it stand out. Like some of those sequences, like seeing how it was utilized made it feel cool. Like again, you're looking at the front of the screen and you're kind of between two part locations, so you're seeing as if you're looking at the walls on the sides. And again, the idea is you're not supposed to be turning your head to the left and to the right to see the screen. You're using it more as an opportunity to um, more to just to have those details open, just to feel more immersed. But those details kind of make it look like you're being more placed inside the room in some of these sequences, and it just felt really cool in that instance. And some of the flying sequences, just how it's utilized, and how some of the framing is done, is just, or the how the cameras are all placed and all that's just, it's really cool. So it felt like a, again, it felt a little more like intentional. It felt, what's, I mean, I think organic's one word I used. It just, yeah, I felt more, yeah, it felt more organic, honestly. Just there was a little more intention in trying to form these shots and everything. So, um, it was, again, this is one of those I said in when I posted my thoughts on Facebook the other day when or the other night when I saw it, is if you are a fan of or if you want to check out this format, you're curious on ScreenX, I think this is a great movie to try to um, get an idea of the true potential of the experience. I think this was their best effort into it. Keep in mind my other experiences that I've seen beforehand were Avatar: The Way of Water, which was my first one. It was cool. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Again, cool. Um, and again, it's just more like it felt like the world is opening up, but don't think much about the details. And Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire was the next one, and then Mandalorian Grogu. And all of it felt really cool. But yeah, this one felt like there was more effort put into it. So, so yeah, if you, I would say this is a great one to test out the waters of ScreenX. If you're just like, I've heard about this format, I'm very curious, and you decide to go check it out, then I think this is a really cool one to try. Okay, now moving into all the ones that I've seen in my home theater. The first one I'm going to start with is Eternals. And again, in preparation for Avengers Doomsday, um, which tickets for the premium formats have um, gone on sale if you and you can buy for the premium formats, not for all the theaters for Doomsday in December. It's just for like the Cinemark XD, I believe the Dolby Cinema, um, and stuff like that. So more of the premium formats for the theaters, and it's for Infinity Vision. So um, Infinity Vision, for those that don't know what it is, I mean, again, it's not anything brand new. It's more of a certification. And the way I interpret it is that, I mean, these movies are trying to give the best presentation possible. And obviously, the premium formats are the best presentation possible. But they're trying to find out ones that meet the standards that are going to deliver everything they're trying to calibrate from picture to sound to give it how the director is best envisioning every single little thing. And that's what it's more about, pointing out these are the ones that are giving this best vision of what we've envisioned, kind of thing. That's how I see it. I mean, yeah, I understand. Like, it does sound like not the wisest thing, but I feel like that's what they're going for. And it is part of, since they didn't get access to IMAX, which I'm pretty sure within 3 weeks from there, if it's doing well, that a few weeks after the release, that it'll probably get an IMAX release for a week or something like that. So, but I'm going to be seeing in Cinemark XD for my opening night. Anyway, sorry, that's sidetracked. Apologize about that. Um, Focusing now on Eternals. So, in preparation for Avengers Doomsday, which is why I went on that tangent, I'm trying to go through all the Marvel movies that I can in preparation for Avengers Doomsday. So the ones I'm more going for are the ones within the multiverse saga. So I'm not going to go all the way to the beginning the the Infinity Saga. I will watch ones here and there that, hey, you know what, I haven't watched certain movies here and there. I'll do that. But anyway, sorry. Going back, let's go back to Eternals. I saw this movie back in 2021 when it opened, and I remember all the reviews being very mixed, um, to put it kindly, when it came out, and so I didn't go in. The trailers looked cool as far as like the cinematography looked beautiful, so I was excited to see for that reason. I knew nothing about the characters, but I was just curious enough because I've always enjoyed when Marvel introduces new characters, especially when we watched from the Infinity Saga. So yeah, I went into Eternals kind of just like, hey, let's see what let's see what my personal opinion is. I saw it in IMAX opening night, and it was like, it wasn't something that blew my mind, but it was something that I mean, actually, the word I would describe it is good. Just just plain old good. Nothing more than that. Because the cinematography was gorgeous. The some of the visuals are really cool, and even rewatching it now, um, like some of the scale on some of those visuals were really impressive. The music was good. The design of the movie was cool. Um, And there was just like a sense like this felt like Marvel's attempt, Marvel Studios' attempt to do um, an art film or like the Tree of Life, something like that. So if you guys know what the Tree of Life is, a movie released many years ago. So again, it's done very differently to bring that, and obviously it still has that sense of feeling like an MCU movie. Um, Obviously, it felt maybe just a little too ambitious. Um, it is one of those that, like, obviously, just the consequences of what happened are definitely a little bit too big for the rest of the MCU. Um, but overall, like, still, that ambition was still really cool to see. Still cool to see them try to swing for the fences or beyond the fences, even if it didn't pay off. So yeah, still a fun time. The still, or actually, fun is not the right word. It's still an enjoyable time. Again, the key word is good. Nothing more, nothing less. Um, and still one I think is for anyone that's curious on it, just going in with an open mind, just kind of curious what it's about and all that. I do think it's worth a watch. I did watch in my dedicated home theater. Watch the 4K Ultra HD disc that I did get when Best Buy was selling the steelbooks, and yeah, it was still a very pleasant home theater presentation. The picture quality looked really good. Details looked good, colors looked good, and the scale was felt. Sound quality sounded good, and looked like it was very well designed and everything. So I was very impressed overall. So it was a very good home theater experience. And again, all these ones that I think the majority of these, if not all, I have talked about on my affiliate Facebook page. So you can also read my additional thoughts on there too. So, anyway, those are my thoughts on Eternals. The next one I'm going to focus on is Letty Lynton. This is a movie released back in the early 30s. Um, the interesting thing about this movie is it is a movie that was released back in the 30s, and after that, I don't know exactly how long. There was some kind of legality things, and no one could see it until recently, till those were all resolved and everything. And so this was released by the Warner Archive. So I picked it up on Blu-ray from the Warner Archive. I watched it in my modest home theater. Um, so again, not really knowing what the story was about, I went kind of blindfold, and I actually enjoyed it. Again, I haven't watched a lot of classic cinema. I've been starting to watch more of it lately, but I thought it had a pretty good story. I don't want to say what happens in it, but but yeah, definitely I think a couple twists and all that I wasn't expecting, but I it was still good. It was still like the performances were good. There are some good cinematography. Not again, like it's still them trying to figure out the format during that time, and the performances were really good. Story was good, and again, the sound was. I mean, you could hear the dialogue good, um, and all that. So sorry, it's been a bit since I watched it, but again, for those that are collectors of classic film or classic cinema and want to check this out, I do recommend giving this a shot and even picking it up from the Warner Archive on Blu-ray. The picture quality for the restoration looked really good. Details looked great in there. If there's any flaws in it, it's more of probably the source of the material itself, and it still looked really good. Um, and it sounded good. It's not the strongest sound, but I think it sounded as good as what they can get from the source of the material. So, I mean, again, it's basically mono. So, and it obviously those those sound materials were all well mixed, well balanced, and everything. So this was a good home theater experience as a result. And again, I shared my thoughts on my Facebook affiliate page, so you can read those further thoughts there too. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Okay, this next one, Dunkirk. Um, I've been wanting to go through more Christopher Nolan's movies lately, so and I will be talking about more within the next little while because I'll be going through more of them. Um, but Dunkirk, I mean, I remember seeing this one in theaters. I saw it in IMAX a couple of times, and it was definitely a very intense experience. That's for sure. Um, I remember like the first gunshot that was fired at the beginning of the movie, right as the things were getting set up, and it took me by surprise. And from there, that's like it was like a tight notch experience, or tight lipped experience where everything going on. It was very hard to breathe and just like wondering what's going to happen to everyone. Like, and again, the experience isn't really like you're drawn to the characters. You're more drawn into the experience itself. So obviously, it's in the movie, and this is one of Christopher Nolan's shorter movies, not his shortest, but one of his shorter ones, and but it's shaped in the way to take full advantage of that timing and to be very taut, um, tight, very tightly put together to feel that intensity and everything. So, and yeah, it's and still rewatching it, watched in my dedicated home theater, and I picked up the movie on 4K Ultra HD recently because I thought, hey, it felt like a good time to upgrade the movie on 4K, and the picture quality looked really good. Um, those IMAX sequences fill up to fill the projected screen, which is 1.78 for this presentation, and obviously other times they go to 2.4 or two I think 2.39 for other sequences, and but the IMAX sequences are very impressive. How they're shot, how they immerse you, are very impressive, and yeah, and then obviously the sound is great. And again, I could tell you like just the intensity of all that, just feeling everything build and all the like the TikTok, the timer, the clock ticking, basically. You can hear its presence throughout pretty much the whole movie. Um, but yeah, very well designed, very well executed. Again, it's not about the character impact. It's more about the situational impact. So okay, the next one I'm gonna talk. Oh, actually, before I go there, so yeah, I do highly recommend getting Dunkirk on 4K Ultra HD if you are a fan of Christopher Nolan movies and a fan of this movie for sure. It's worth having. I think it's a great home theater experience. Okay, this next one I'm going to talk about is called Extreme. It is a IMAX documentary. It is I wanted to pick up a few more IMAX documentaries that were released back in the day. Some of them were put out on Blu-ray, and I was just like, after watching a couple, like one of them, actually a couple of them on in my dedicated home theater, which is what I also experienced this one in. I wanted to get a couple more and continue to experience a few more of them. So they're just really cool to experience this way. Um, so this documentary is basically about a few extreme sports. Um, it's been about a week and a half. Let me see if I can remember what all these were. Um, Surfing, ice climbing, skiing, snowboarding, windsurfing, I believe, and then rock climbing. So, and it's just again, it all it really did was just take a moment to go through each person in the various sports. Like there's a different person in each sport, and they just talk about their experiences, what draws them to the sport, and they share that. Show some cool sequences, which are all cool to see. Um, so I mean, again, it's more like, hey, if you enjoy that kind of stuff, and just it's a quick 40-45 minute short documentary, so it's not nothing. It doesn't go into the history, doesn't go too much of anything. It's just more of like, it's kind of to give you the feel of that. If you remember, like the large IMAX theaters from the from back in the day that are probably still at the museums, and the ones that obviously that are being the big draw right now, those are the ones that like this was like made for, just to kind of feel those experiences, and that's what this was designed to do. So it's not to designed to give you a huge history lesson. It's more to give you an experience. And again, I'm not watching this in an IMAX theater. I'm watching this in my dedicated home theater with a large projected screen, and and with the sound and all that, and um, like the theater sound, or like the home theater sound, and obviously I feel like I could feel that intent in the shots on the projected screen looked really good. Like the Blu-ray, it's a Blu-ray that was released back in the late 2000s, and the picture quality looked really good. Honestly, I was definitely more impressed than I thought I would be. Um, Again, nothing mind blowing, but at the same time, definitely more impressed than I thought I would be. And so yeah, and just there's a lot of cool sequences. I do want to add something at the end of this documentary. Throughout the credits, they're showing how they were able to capture some of the sequences, how they were able to utilize the IMAX cameras, like to get particular shots, and seeing that was really cool to see. So I like seeing those kind of processes, how they plan shots and all that. So seeing that was definitely um, made put a smile on my face. Um, and the sounds in Dolby Digital 5.1. So this was not this was a lostly um, audio code. So this isn't something that's going to knock the home theater down or shake it or whatever. I mean, I think it's going to sound pretty good. And overall, for what it is, I think it actually sounded pretty good, honestly. I was definitely a bit more impressed than I thought I would be. So it worked. It worked for what it needed to do. I mean, if they upgraded it, they put like a DTS HD 5.1 in the future, and re-released it, yeah, I'd probably rebuy it, because I'm pretty sure they could remaster it and um, fix some of the maybe parts of the print that could use a little remastering. But overall, this was still good. I'm glad I picked it up. It was a good home theater experience, mainly for the picture quality itself. And again, I think you can get this one for like $10. So, and that's why I picked it up, because it was just really cheap. And I'm like, hey, I like extreme sports. That's why I picked it up. So, more of a fan for extreme sports that wants to have something cool in the dedicated or in their large home theater, that just is curious about it. Um, those are my thoughts on there. Next one, Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender. This is one of those I was excited to see in theaters. And unfortunately, you probably know the whole story. Um, Maybe not all the little parts of the story, but obviously I got pulled from theaters and got put on Paramount Plus. So I watched it on Paramount Plus, and I watched it in my modest home theater. It's one of those like, hey, if they reverse it, they go like, hey, you know what? We want to put Avatar: The Last Airbender back in theaters. Hey, I would totally go see it. So if a rep from Paramount is deciding to listen, yeah, count me in as one of those that would. And I think a lot of people would agree with me on that, honestly. So, but okay, but let's more focus on the movie itself, and not once was, but more of what we got. So I watched in my modest home theater. So 55-inch TV screen. The sound still like a Dolby Atmos setup. It's a 7.1 setup, so 5.1 with two upfiring speakers, and and again, the quality of the presentation for streaming and all that was really good. I was definitely very impressed. Like the animation just looked gorgeous. I wasn't too sure what to expect the animation wise, um but yeah, just how it was animated and everything, and some of the styles that were used in certain sequences were really beautiful. So I was definitely very impressed with that. The sound was rather immersive in certain sequences and definitely well designed. Um, I was very impressed with it. So it was a very good home theater experience for what I had. Again, this was just the streaming on Paramount Plus. Um, and the movie itself was really good, honestly. Um, a lot better than I thought it would be, honestly, especially after the move they pulled. It made me question, like, was this just one that maybe wasn't as good as we thought? And no, it actually ended up being really good. It, first off, pretty much, yeah, I think the whole cast has been changed. Um, so, and I feel like pretty much everyone that was used, some way more than others, really fit the personalities of the characters that they inhabited from like back in the day, that they felt like an extension of the younger cast. And I mean, again, some matched the perform like the older personalities perfectly to the T. Other ones, like, I think were still really good. And it had a story that I knew from the trailer what to expect, but there was a bit more to the story and what drove um, the journey that was gone that the characters went on. And to be able to feel Aang's journey and his situation that he's in definitely really worked in the movie. Um, I was so yeah. I don't really want to go into spoilers. If you haven't seen it, I do highly recommend checking this out, especially if you're a fan of the Avatar: The Last Airbender. I thought they did a really good job with this, and again, like I said, they put it in theaters. I'll totally get it. If this comes out on 4K Ultra HD or at least Blu-ray, I'll definitely buy it day one. So those are my thoughts on that. Next one, uh, the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. I watched it in my dedicated home theater. I saw it once a year ago. I just watched it on free on YouTube and just kind of monitor. When they released it on 4K Ultra HD, I was just like, hey, you know what? I want to pick it up. I want to see how the quality of the restoration is and everything. So I checked it out, and first off, the movie's definitely. I think it's a very entertaining movie. This is a movie with stop motion animation by Ray Harryhausen. And again, you probably will recognize a lot of his creations. He did them for a lot of movies throughout the 60s and 70s, I believe. And it's just, again, it's definitely unique. It might seem kind of cheesy today, but at the same time, there's something very special. There's a sense of a personality to it, and that's what made it cool. Um, Definitely, the restoration efforts were great. What stood out watching this in my dedicated home theater, watching this on a projected screen, big projected screen, some of the sequences, however they were framed. I mean, again, I don't think much when I'm watching on a small TV or anything like that. I'm not thinking about. Uh, Actually, this one I watched on a pretty big TV when I watched it, just not with the with all the additional stuff to it, but still in the dedicated home theater with the bit on the big projected screen. There's certain sequences where I could feel like the scale of some of these these creatures, which were created through stop motion animation, like the Cyclops. There's one sequence where you see the Cyclops basically trying to, yeah, um, capture one of the people and just holding the person hostage, and you're seeing that Cyclops from behind and the person in the forefront, and you can kind of feel that scale. And it was definitely like I was really impressed how that was captured. It was something I never thought about as they were designing all this. So, and it was something really cool. And the restoration efforts here on the 4K Ultra HD were really impressive. Like it, like it felt like it felt like a film print. So because I think it was originating from the 35 millimeter camera negative. I want to say again, I don't really know the whole restoration efforts honestly, so don't hold me to what I just said right there, because I don't. I haven't looked into all the details on how the restoration came to be and all that, but it was very impressive. That I can say. It was very impressive. Like they did a really great job on restoring it. It was definitely grainy, so it definitely felt like a film print. Um, and it looked really good, and it obviously you can tell like maybe some differences with the stop motion animation, but still like just how it's put together is very impressive. Um, and it sounded really good. It was DTS HD 5.1 that I listened to the movie on, and it was a really good sound experience. So overall, this was a really good home theater experience. If you're a fan of like Ray Harryhausen movies and want to check out the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad on 4K, I do recommend picking it up that way. Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about, Soylent Green. So I picked it up on 4K Ultra HD from Arrow Video, which came out recently, and I just it was one of those like I've heard a lot about. I knew about the twist at the end, which I won't. You guys probably know what the twist is. But even if you do, I'm not going to talk about it for those, just in case you are checking this out and you don't even know what the twist is. So, um, overall, like, again, like, I look at it in one particular way from seeing how it's talked about and watching the movie itself. I'm like, it felt a lot more heavy, a lot more dark and disturbing than I was anticipating. And so I don't think I think I was kind of prepared because I heard people in preparation as the movie was coming close to getting released on 4K. I put the pre-order in, and I heard people talk about how they watched it, and it like you were thinking like one particular way, but ended up being a lot more heavier than they thought. And so I went in a little more prepared, but I don't think I was as prepared as I thought I would be, because there was some stuff that was like a lot more heavy than I thought it would be. And yeah, it was very well done. Like the direction was very well done. Um, the production design, the um, the performances were really good. Um, and like sound design was well used. Like it would some moments had music, but a lot of the music was from maybe sources from the environments that we're in. But like later on, how the sound effects were used definitely like left a very eerie feeling. That's for sure. Um, Without going into what I'm thinking, I think what I'll do is right at the end I'll describe that what I'm talking about, and I'll just put a spoiler alert before I move to my next review. But I'm just going to go through quickly on the home theater presentation. I watched this one in my modest home theater, so 55-inch screen. Um, Again, still 5.1 sound with two up-firing speakers. Um, and again, the yeah. So basically, but it was mono, so really only the front speakers were being utilized. So, and but it was well balanced. It sounded really good um, for how it was calibrated and everything. And I'll get to one particular moment at the end, but the picture quality looked really good. I don't know how it was before. I've never seen this before, so I can't talk about how previous iterations were. But it felt like they did a really good job at restoring it from what I could tell, because it seemed like it looked really good. And it sounded really good too. So if you are a fan of this movie, you've wanted to add it, and you want to get it on 4K Ultra HD, I do recommend picking up the movie from Arrow Video. And just to let you know, right now, Arrow Video, like Barnes and Nobles, has all the Arrow Video titles for 50% off. So I would recommend looking for it that way if you choose to. Um, so yeah, I'm just going to go to my quick spoiler before moving to my next review, so that way, if you guys don't want to know what it is, um, so yeah, spoiler coming up. So basically, when Charlton Heston's character goes to the plants to investigate where all those bodies were going and everything, just how the sound was calibrated, um, where you're hearing the machines and just having that presence being felt, and just feel like it's grown in a particular way, and just like the lack of music and all that, and just how being placed in a dark environment, it's like you could feel that intensity right there. So so yeah, anyway, into that, moving on to my next review, The Living Sea, which is an IMAX documentary. I talk about a lot of IMAX documentaries that I've watched in my dedicated home theater, and this one is no exception, actually. Or no, this one is a different exception, because this one I believe I have seen. I was 10 years old. I was living in Canada, moved to Canada with my family for a bit, when we all moved up there for a bit. And so we went to an IMAX theater that was near us, and we checked out a couple of documentaries. And I remember this one, the second one being about the ocean or the sea, and I had to look it up, and I believe this is what it was. And so I picked this one up a couple of years ago and checked it out, and again, I when I watched it, then it was really cool. I wanted to rewatch in my dedicated home theater with the current projector that I had and everything, and it was really cool. Like feeling the scale of a lot of those, the cinematography of how it was framed is very impressive, and just feeling that scale and scope was really cool. And again, it takes you through the ocean, and it talks about, um, like, again, this was released in the mid '90s, so it dealt more with um, some of the, like, those that were studying the ocean and all that. Obviously, technology would have advanced since, but just seeing them explore some of these things, and just to marvel at some of these sea creatures, but just marvel at the ocean itself, and just some of these locations, and just how it's captured is really cool. Um, and The sound design is really cool. Again, you through the sound design, you feel that largeness and scope, which on the Blu-ray, this is a Blu-ray from the late 2000s, I believe, and so again, the picture quality looked really good. It does feel like it probably could use a little extra restoration efforts to maybe feel slightly sharp, but it still felt impressive on a big projected screen. So, um, and then the sound was in DTS HD 5.1, and it sounded really good in the dedicated home theater. Um, and I was just feeling basically immersed in some of these places, and feeling that grandness through the music and through some of the how the sound effects are captured and everything. So So it's a quick 45-minute thing, but it's a great home theater experience as a result. Um, for those that are a fan of IMAX documentaries, I do recommend picking this one up. Um, Again, I don't know what the price is. I don't know if it's easy to obtain, but this is one of those like I'm hoping one day that again, I know a lot of companies are starting to try to put out some catalog releases on 4K Ultra HD, and there's a lot of boutiques labels that are doing incredible work on this. My hope is that they go and or one of them finds a bunch of these IMAX documentaries, is able to release some of them out on 4K Ultra HD, because I think some of them would be really cool to experience that way. So anyway, but again, I don't know how much it would cost to get the Living Sea on Blu-ray right now. I picked this one up a couple of years ago. It wasn't. I think it was $30 when I got it, so it wasn't, or under, maybe barely under 30. But so yeah. Anyway, moving on to my next one, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Um, I wanted to. I When I rewatched this one, I had already seen Spider-Man: Brand New Day. I was gonna. I watched it, rewatched it in preparation to rewatch Spider-Man: Brand New Day for my second time in ScreenX. Um, for my first time in ScreenX for that format, but for that movie, but for my second time seeing it in theaters. But so I wanted to rewatch Spider-Man: No Way Home, plus part going through the multiverse saga. Thought it'd be an appropriate time to rewatch it. So, um, seeing it in theaters is actually really cool because it was one of the coolest movie going experiences. Again, I had seen all the Spider-Man movies. I was in high school when the first Spider-Man movie came out with Tobey Maguire. So so just seeing all these ones come out when they did, and getting to see all of them in theaters, and so getting to have the getting to see like how how this all happened, and how it unfolded. I guess it's not the biggest surprise anymore because you guys know what the secrets hold probably. But in case you don't, maybe I spoiled a little too much, and I'm sorry about that. But regardless, it's still a great movie, or it's still a really fun Spider-Man movie, and it's still got a good story to it. Honestly, better story than I was expecting. I was expecting just all the funness, but wasn't going to think much about like what the story was going to contain, and it definitely had a better story than I thought it would have. Um, and especially the consequences that happen at the end, how they tie into the new Spider-Man movie. Obviously, seeing this in the theater, I could tell you a lot when a lot of the cheering happened. One part in particular, I think saying that, I think you might know what that one part in particular is, where the whole crowd lost it. And I saw it a total of 5 times, one of them including during a re release, which that cheering was still happening. Um, the only time it wasn't happening was my fourth time seeing it. It had been out for a month, and I think it was a quieter theater at that time. So, but rewatching it in my dedicated home theater, um, which getting to like hear the dialogue a little better in some of those moments. Actually, I don't. Again, there are pauses. I feel like they accounted for that to happen. Um, anyway, but regardless, just hearing some of the dialogue, being able to focus on it better. That's the word I'm looking for because I could hear it. There are times I've seen it at least a few more times, besides theaters, and or a couple more times since theaters, and one of them I was able to focus in on the dialogue, but I was able to catch it a little bit more and just thinking about some of the phrases that were used and all that, and it's kind of cool. Anyway, um, but it was great to rewatch in my dedicated home theater. It was a great home theater experience. The 4K picture looked really good. Details looked really good, and colors looked good, and some of the scale was felt in certain sequences, and even on the big projected screen, how that scale was felt, and even something like the fight between Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, um, when that little sequence happens, just how it's utilized, how it's planned. It's just really cool. And there's even some like the third act final battle was really cool. Watching on a large projected screen. It sounds in Dolby Atmos, and it sounded really good. Just how the sound effects are used in the soundscape is very impressive. From surrounding to even in my two speakers above, just how they're all utilized to help immerse you into some of these moments and feel like some the scale and scope of some of those environments is really cool. So this was a great home theater experience, and I do recommend picking it up. Um, I'm just gonna finish up, just go through a question of the day. I'm gonna keep it very brief because I kept this a little bit longer than I meant to. But I did have a lot to go through that I wanted to go through. All right, the question of the day is: what are my top 5 MCU movie going experiences? So not my top 5 MCU movies. I'll have to do that at some point. But since with Spider-Man coming out and doing more of these MCU movies, thought I'd choose this one. And one of them is Spider-Man No Way Home, just the whole movie. Um, just because obviously it connected with stuff from the other Spider-Man movies that I've watched, and so connected all the way back to my days of high school. Um, and again, that the MCU started when I was in college, so having to go further back like that was cool. Um, so yeah, there's that. Avengers Endgame, of course. Just the last third act in general. Just all of us cheering, all of us just getting collectively excited for many of those moments, and it was really awesome. Um, Avengers Infinity War. Um, Again, just a real like a lot of cool cheering moments and everything, and just being there with a bunch of people in the theater when seen the first time around. A lot of these are more like my first time around. Um, I'd say the other one is Avengers, the first one. That was really cool. I watched this one at midnight. This is back in the day when they were still doing like midnight showings for their opening showings. And so I got to see this with a group of friends, and it was a packed theater, and all of us were cheering at various moments. And it was one of those like, hey, I was looking forward to it. I wasn't as excited as I got for other ones. Um, you know what? I think my next one, I haven't thought this one completely through, but I think my fifth one for now, and I don't have these in a particular order right now, but I think my fifth one's going to be the first Iron Man movie. And the reason I'm picking that, I started that weekend working at a movie theater, and so my first movie to work for was working during the Iron Man opening weekend, and I got to join a group of employees, got to know them a little bit, to screen the movie before everyone else got to watch it. Um, I don't know if that's done now, but that was something we got to do then, and it was something very special. So yeah. All right. I'm just gonna leave it right there. Thank you again for tuning in to Movie Theater Explorer here, and I hope some of these reviews help you seek the ones that you want to check out, or whatnot. And I just appreciate you checking in some of my reviews, whether you checked out the whole episode, checked out a couple of reviews, only checked out a portion of one review. Whatever it was, I appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in. This is Brent with Movie Theater Explorer signing off.